The woman did not just obey a random command. She engaged in a conversation that changed her mindset. Has God indeed said, "You shall not eat of every tree of the garden"? The moment the woman's truth was uprooted and replaced with inquisition is the moment humanity took a sharp turn. Others. The serpent in the garden wasn't after Eve's appetite. It was after what she trusted as God's vision for her life. For the longest time, I thought my trauma began when I became pregnant as a teenager. If we can get to the root, we can change the fruit. Hi guys. Guys, I'm so sleepy as you can see. I'm still sleepy. Why am I saying I'm so sleepy? I'm still sleepy. Hi guys, I hope you guys are doing well. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, please consider subscribing and like the video. Leave a sweet comment in the comment section. Let me know what you think about the video. And if you've always been here to check up on your girl to know how your girl is doing, I appreciate it. And I'm not taking it for granted. Thank you so much for always coming back to check up on your girl to know how your girl is doing. As you can see, your girl is doing super fantastic, you know what I mean. So guys, I've just woken up. Sorry about the background noise. It's early in the morning, and today is 29th of February 2026. So today gonna mark our second day of reading the book. The book that I started off with is the Woman Evolve. So this is the book that we're gonna be reading. Okay, I'm gonna be reading it. Okay, and I'm super excited, guys, to share this journey with you guys. You know what I mean. So please stick around, show me the love and support you guys, and all shall be well. You know what I mean. So without any further ado, guys, let me get started. And it rained. I told you guys Nairobi is super cold. It's been raining like crazy. And it's 6 a.m. in the morning. And yeah, hope you enjoy the video, you guys. I'm super excited, you guys. I must say, I'm super excited to share this video with you guys. Okay. This is like a letter to Eve, my friend Eve. It was the way her eyes moved before her eyelids ever parted that indicated she was ready to be introduced to a whole new world. Flutter, shut, flutter, shut. She practiced the opening and closing of them until she finally allowed them to remain open. Then, slowly, she lifted her delicate hands to eye level, like a newborn baby trapped in a woman's body. She stood in the middle of the garden, fascinated by her fingertips. The warmth from the sun covered every inch of her like a blanket. She studied the backside of her hands and marveled at the hints of red and gold peeking from beneath the top layer of her bronze skin. Turning her hands over, she discovered the intersecting lines embedded on her palms. Her fingertips traced the trail of lines as they mingled and danced, creating abstract art unique to her tale. Her eyes roamed the length of her arms. Her right hand gazed the roundness of her left shoulder and the fragile protrusion of her collarbone. Yes. I think is this the collarbone? I think this is the collarbone. Guys, let me know in the comments. Is this the collarbone? I think this is the collarbone. I'm so sorry for protrusion collarbone. She paused. She paused only to rest the parts of her fingers in the cord that held her pulse. She took a moment and felt the rhythm of her blood flowing through her body, steady and controlled. Slowly but surely, her focus drifted, and she began surveying the rest of her frame, devoid of another woman's body to serve as a point of reference. She felt no need to compare the roundness of her tummy with others She had seen. Nor could she judge the appropriate thickness of her thighs or ideal width of her hips. Instead, she did what so many of us fail to accomplish. She reveled in the beauty and simplicity of her existence. The woman was fascinated by the dimensions of her power. She had the innate ability to touch with a delicate fineness or with firmness that demanded the recognition of her strength. Still utterly consumed with her personal examination of the body she now possessed, the woman's trance was suddenly broken when she heard the rustling of life happening around her. She took what she thought would be a quick glance around, but her eyes widened with astonishment and admiration as she surrendered to the beauty of her new home. The birds swirled above her head. The lush grass danced with her toes. The bushes crunched as the creatures passing by divided their square form. Undeterred by her stares, the creatures went about their way, not nearly as intrigued by her as she was by them. The rivers streamed with a familiar pulsating rhythm, reminding her of the beat she felt happening in the curve of her neck just moments before the warm just moments before. The woman had so much to learn, yet no urgency to do it. This moment, her introduction to the world had to be fully breathed in. She continued to skim the new land until the only being powerful enough to break her trance came into focus. In a world full of so many textures, colors, shapes, and forms, he was the only thing she had seen thus far that resembled her own frame. And there's something that I read here, and I'm like, go back, girl, go back, check on it again. Hmm. Okay. Mhm. The differences was subtle but undeniable. His shoulders were broader and arms much longer than her own. There was a bulge in his neck that resembled his fruit she had observed on one of the trees. His face was decorated with hair that began by his ears and circled around his mouth. Her eyes landed on the corner of his lips, and she noticed how they curved slightly upward. When she finally focused on his eyes, she had a knowing that while she stood taking in her environment, He'd been studying her. He was standing there staring at her as if she were the most fascinating organism he'd ever encountered. He surveyed every inch of her beauty with his eyes and became irrefutably mesmerized. It was the way their eyes locked that made the earth stand still. The flowers stopped their way, and the breeze broke its pattern. It was almost as if the whole world were applauding that she had finally found something akin to him. He took her hand in his, palm to palm, their hands conveyed what their spirits already knew. Their connection began long before their fingers, presently intertwined, ever touched. It began in a realm much more divine, a realm that not even words could define. Immediately it became obvious that the sun would rise and set many times over before their infatuation with each other's presence grew dull. He navigated the world with ease and comfort. She studied her environment like a new student, eager to please and desiring to do well. He shared with her the names of all the creatures and plants. He exemplified the power they both possessed to command the earth to do as they wished. The man often stressed that everything was made in sequence of importance, with her entrance serving as the apex of all creation. It felt like the woman was late to a party that had been going on for hours. Her delayed entrance into the world meant she would have to catch up from the last place while somehow exhibiting the confidence that relayed she deserved to be first. He tried to help by reminding her of the commandment that they'd been given when God handed them the reins, handed them the reins. God had said, "Be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth and subdue it, have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the air, and over every living thing that moves on the earth." This intimidating world was created to adjust to the tone she set, but she would have to be intentional about setting that tone, or she would get lost in the rhythm the world set. Can you imagine coming into the world as an adult woman? Everyone and everything has its place except you. You are simply still trying to understand it and where you fit. The woman we knew as Eve was pulled from the rib of the man and placed in an organized world where everything had a label, role, and united function. She was told to subdue the earth, but how can one subdue the unknown? She was charged with controlling a world that she did not even understand. No wonder all it took was one thought to change her tenor and undermine their success. Eve's ability to succeed depended on how well she navigated and transformed the culture that predated her existence. Unfortunately, before she could begin producing from the safety of her new normal, one encounter changed everything forever. I wish I could say that this woman, my friend, had no control over how her story detoured, but that will not be entirely true. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I don't believe it was her intention for things to veer as drastically as they did. However, I cannot deny that she knew before she gave in that trouble would begin. Simply put, she knew better but didn't do better. But haven't we all been there? Should she be penalized forever for what she failed to do in that moment? Choose your answer wisely, because however you handle Eve's transgression will undoubtedly be how you handle the transgressions of others, especially your own. If there was a courtroom, now would be the moment when I dramatically turn to the judge and say, I rest my case. Because who can't relate to be fragile, ignorant, and susceptible to mental, emotional, and spiritual traps that ultimately change our mind and then our actions. I know quite a few women who can relate. In fact, I am one of them. And to think this all began when she was exploring her new world away from the man who served as her guide. Oh my god. I am so sorry. He'd given her the rules and outlined the plan. He could have never imagined that a creature so crafty could have undermined their mission. In theory, he was correct. The woman did not just obey a random command. She engaged in a conversation that changed her mindset, then her diet, and eventually her actions. All it took was one question. One question invaded her mind, opened the floodgates, and changed her path. Has God indeed said, you shall not eat of every tree of the garden? Genesis 3:1. That's all it took to suck her into questioning herself and the power, purpose, and potential God granted her. Narrowing down to a moment what happened in the garden when a woman sank her teeth into a piece of fruit is far too easy. Closer examination reveals the trouble began long before she picked the fruit. The moment the woman's truth was uprooted and replaced with inquisition is the moment humanity took a sharp turn. Can you remember the first time your truth was uprooted? Can you remember the first time you no longer felt safe, loved, wanted, liked, good enough, beautiful, innocent? Can you remember how it made you question yourself and others? The serpent in the garden wasn't after Eve's appetite. It was after what she trusted as God's vision for her life. God's power in her life began to dissolve the moment she started questioning God's plan for her life. For the longest time, I thought my trauma began when I became pregnant as a teenager. I know now that my pregnancy was just the moment I ate from the fruit. The seed of trauma began as a question, and the search for the answer is what led to my pregnancy and to every other issue that destabilized my world. That question and so many other questions produced from it would haunt me over for many years before I finally discovered the only answer that mattered. In full transparency, the question has not fully gone away, but the search for the answer has ceased. The question that started it all was, do you really belong here? The here changed over the years. Sometimes the here was family, other times it was school, occasionally it was relationships, and eventually it found its way into my career and purpose. What question haunts you? What is it that finds a way to that finds a way to creep into the most unsuspecting moments of your life. That question is a seed that, if not properly addressed, will continue to control your actions. You may want to change your thinking and actions. Perhaps you've wanted to change them for quite some time, but to no avail. When Eve was in the garden engaging with the serpent, it was the question that ultimately changed her actions. Perhaps we should spend less time focusing on the action and more time discovering the root questioning that produced the action. The action. If we can get to the root, we can change the fruit. That's going to be our title for today. If we can get to the root, we can change the fruit. Hope you guys have enjoyed this 30-minute reading session with me. We're gonna be reading every day. I really wanna improve on my English. I know my English is not that perfect, but I'm trying. So please make sure you like the video, make sure you comment and subscribe. If you're watching this and you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Okay, and support my channel. Bye. See you guys on to the next video. I love you guys. May God bless you so much. Always coming back to watch my videos, okay?